it was accidental. I know he would never intentionally hurt his daughter.
Britney is the mother of little Natalie, who passed away at Children's Hospital on April 13th. Her boyfriend, James, sits in jail accused of killing and abusing their newborn baby girl. But Britney says he's not a murderer.
He was a great father. On April 7th, I came home from work at 6:30. My boyfriend went to the store when I got home because he's been with the baby all day. I noticed she wasn't acting right, so I tried to feed her, tried a few things to get her to wake up. When I noticed my daughter wasn't breathing, I got scared. So I called my boyfriend and he came back. She was bluish purple, and I don't think my boyfriend is capable of hurting my daughter like that. I think that my sister's responsible. When I got to the hospital, they told me that she had major brain trauma and that they were scared someone might have been hurting her. I couldn't stay with my sister because I felt like she had something to do with it. I felt like she might have caused the injuries to my daughter. Since the day my daughter died, I haven't spoken to Alicia at all. All I want to know is the truth and what happened with my daughter. She was the other person in the house that day. My boyfriend told me that after my sister was with my daughter that day, that was when she couldn't stop crying. And that's what makes me think my sister did something when no one was watching.
Your sister believes that you killed her baby. How does that make you feel?
It makes me want to punch her. I did nothing but help her. I found out she was pregnant when she was 8 months. When she was 8 months pregnant, I get a call from a family member saying that she needs help. She's living in a camper trailer with her boyfriend. So I call Britney. I tell her to come live with me. She hadn't seen the doctor not once since her whole pregnancy. This girl couldn't help herself.
So you let her move in?
I let them both move in, even though I did not know him. I had never met him in my life. I helped her find her job back. She got back on her feet. They have the baby. I found out he has a warrant out for his arrest. And so I kicked him out, knowing that because I have an 8-year-old daughter myself. I kicked him out. He ended up moving back into the camper trailer. Britney decides she's gonna keep going to work. And so I help her out whenever I can watch the baby. There was one day that both of us worked the same schedule. So we asked James to come by the apartment and watch the baby until we got off work. And I get a call at 6:50 in the evening. I was at work. They tell me that Britney is being investigated by CPS for child abuse and that the baby is in a separate room hooked up to breathing tubes, feeding tubes, and I couldn't go up there and see the baby. And so I asked Britney what was going on. She said that her thought was that James threw the baby in the air and dropped her, is what she thought happened. I was
Throwing
like,
a baby up in the air and that's not even a month old?
I caught him doing that when she was a couple weeks old, like a few days prior to this happening, and I told him to stop, that her neck wasn't stable enough to support her head. And he said, well, she's smiling. I was like, that's not right. Her head cannot support it. And that's when I sat Britney down and told her, this is your baby. You need to protect your baby. And that's when she's like, I tried to talk to him. He won't listen to me. I was like, well, then that's when you need to take him away from this.
Were you questioned by the police?
Yes. I was questioned by the detective. The detective came in my house, and CSI was in my house twice, raiding my house. I guess they checked the spot where he said that he threw the baby in the air and there was popcorn from the ceiling missing.
The baby was sitting ahead on the ceiling?
He threw the baby so high, it's a 10-foot ceiling.
How long after your niece was in the hospital did she pass away?
She was in there for a week.
And then she passed away?
She passed away.
So she was 3 weeks when she went into the hospital?
She was 3 weeks, yeah.
Oh, jeez. Now he's in jail facing murder in the first degree and child neglect. But she blames you.
She blames me. She didn't have a reason, because she can't blame anybody else.
And I'm told that your sister still talks to this guy who's in jail for murder.
She's still talking to him.
She talks to him every day.
Alicia, why are you
accusing me?
Why are you making me look like the bad guy?
You are the bad guy!
Literally everything you just said! You literally lied about everything you just said! When they dropped me off at your house that night, the police officer told me, do not bother going back to the hospital. I called them 2 days later and I said, why can't I go see my daughter? The doctor said, I don't know what you're talking about. We didn't hear anything about that. We don't know anything. You can come see your daughter. Since that day, I was in the hospital. James turned himself in before that.
That is not even the point. You've been talking to him ever since, knowing that he killed your baby.
I've been trying to find out the truth.
So I want to be clear. You blame your sister for your daughter's death.
75% of me believes that she did it. 25% of me believes that he did it.
Who'd you love, your daughter or him more? Him.
My daughter, sorry.
Nah, you know what? Your gut reaction said him. You loved him more than you loved your daughter. Britney, you took a lie detector test. And we asked you, did you cause any of those injuries to your daughter, Natalie, that led to her death? You answered no. Did you witness the father of your daughter cause any of the injuries that led to her death? You answered no. You told the truth. Your sister came here and took a lie detector test. And we asked her, did you cause any of those injuries that caused Natalie's death? She answered no. Regarding Natalie, did you cause any of those injuries that resulted in her death? Talking about a 3-week-old baby. She answered no. And the results for your sister's lie detector test is that she told the truth. I want to blast you off my stage. I really do. No, but you lost a daughter, so I'm going to walk a tightrope here because as outraged as I am, and you see that little baby in the hospital, she didn't even get a full 30 days on this planet. Think about that. And this guy gets to tell you you love him. You put money on his commissary card so he can have something nice to eat. So you take your tears, go back to your green room, and cry your little eyes out. After the show, Britney's ex admitted to causing the infant's death and pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. He was then sentenced to 35 years in prison. Were you and your sister able to repair your relationship after the show?
It took a while, but we did.
Yeah.
I put my pride aside, and thankfully she was able to forgive me because looking back at the show and the clips, it honestly breaks my heart that I even put her through that.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to say I was hard on you. I could only be one way. And when I hear somebody, acting the way they did, like you did, people will say, maybe I was hard on you, but I don't care. I think you deserved it. But do you feel like anything I was saying to you, did it help in any way? Clear your mind, make you see things right?
I feel like it did because after I left the show, I kind of took your words and took it to heart, and it stuck with me.
You're married now, you have 4 kids. What's life like for you now?
Oh, it's still hard. But, they get me through the day.
When you think of Natalie, what goes through your mind?
When I think of her, I just kind of, wonder what she would look like, how she would be in school.
How old would she be now?
6.
6. That's a good age for kids. So how often do you think about her?
Every day. Every day. I have a picture on my wall, and unfortunately I wasn't able to take much pictures of her when she was here, but, I have a whole little book full of her.
21 days is certainly not a long time for a life. The guy that's responsible for the death of your daughter is certainly going to spend a long time in prison. We're happy to hear that you got kids now that you're taking care of, you're married. I hope that you'll do everything to keep those kids safe. I'm sure you will. And take care of yourself, Britney.
All right, thank you.
I was raped.
My name is Steve Wilkos, and I'm an investigative talk show host with a law enforcement background.
It was my life or his.
My job is to get truth and justice for everyday people. Watch our videos now.